Yo, what is up, everybody? It's your boy BEATNUTZ. Hope you're having a great day doing what you love. So today for a crazy tutorial, nothing ever been done before, obviously.
I like you, man. You lie a lot.
I'm just kidding. I'm gonna be doing my same soul sample shit as I usually do. So for today, I actually kind of wanted to change it up a little bit. I know I've been really doing a lot of Isaiah Rashad and stuff like that, and I'm kind of more familiar with that kind of realm. But honestly, right now I've been actually listening to a lot of different other artists, specifically LUTE, that I've been really wanting to tap a little bit into more. You guys have been killing it with the chords videos, the monte videos, so I kind of wanted to step a little bit out from my experimental to kind of back into my comfort zone, to see, you know, if the love is still there. But I definitely did want to say I am so grateful for all the love you guys been showing the channel. So this one I kind of want to take it back to what I'm most comfortable with, or at least what I have been listening to the most, kind of in that Isaiah Rashad form. But I'm really going specifically for a kind of gold mouth, kind of LUTE Dreamville, I guess, aesthetic is what you could say. So thank you guys so much for watching this video, and definitely check out all the other videos that I mentioned from before, the monte video as well as the chords video. All of them are doing really great, and you might learn some more nuggets. Let's get right into the tutorial and see what happens. So all of this is kind of just off the brain, off the dome, really. The only thing that I'm really gonna kind of do that helps me start off, I'm actually gonna be grabbing some MIDI and stuff like that I saw with Splice actually, and I'm gonna be messing around with a little bit of that. So I'm actually gonna load up some keys. Typically with keys and stuff like that, I mean, I don't have to necessarily use Keyscape, but usually when I do, because they just have such great amazing sounds, I always try to go through the electric piano section. I go through the electric piano section, and honestly, I've been more stepping away from Rhodes and more into the Wurlitzer, and using specifically this preset. It's been something that I think honestly has been very tasty for like lo-fi chords, but also kind of soul stuff. Usually what I like to do whenever I'm making beats like this is I always try to lay down a chord progression and then kind of go on drums from there. So let me grab the MIDI that I have. So this is in the key of A sharp minor. So what I specifically liked about this was when I heard it, this is probably not the exact chord progression I'm going to use, so I'm going to change it up a bit. I always recommend, when you're ever stuck, as producers we tend to get a lot of beat block and stuff like that here and there, if you're ever stuck with either starting making loop from scratch or even really making beats from scratch, MIDI is honestly a game changer, and I think is so underrated, honestly. A lot of people can just say, oh well, I'll just use a loop and stuff like that, and you know, I'll be okay. Like if I'm on a beat block and everything, I'll just find somebody else's loop or a sample, whatever. And well, I agree, you know, that's another method that you can totally just get inspiration from. There is no kind of like certain rules as to where you should get inspiration from, but I personally think MIDI, in terms of sheer direction, is so underrated, because you can change out your sounds and stuff like that while still maintaining the same chord progressions, and you can make even more progressions, build it off of it too as well. So that's why I wanted to start off today with MIDI and show you guys a little bit of kind of the process, and how whenever I tackle these kind of beats, specifically whether it's either Isaiah Rashad, LUTE, kind of Dreamville kind of sample kind of thing, J. Cole, whatever, I always try to see if I can try from scratch, and if I'm, you know, not really feeling it the past couple days or even months, really, I'll definitely use MIDI as a tool, because it'll spark something in there too. So what I'm gonna do real quick is I'm gonna take some of the MIDI, I'm gonna rearrange this, and then we're gonna get to a cool little progression too. And what I think I'm also gonna do is I'm gonna change the BPM. Okay, there we go. So I'm probably gonna change it to about like an 89. And honestly, by the way guys, you can do it where it's just straight 89 BPM. I typically like to do 89.2 and stuff like that.
Hell no, man. What the fuck?
Do not, and I repeat, do not end your beats with this. A lot of the times, the reason why I like to do it where it's 89 point something as a BPM to start off Let me rephrase. I do this to start off, is to help me out with getting the vibe and kind of getting a certain kind of rhythm and stuff like that too. If I don't have any perk loops, or if I just want to start from scratch, just kind of with the chords and the basis of it is and everything. As a disclaimer, you are allowed to do pretty much anything you want, but I know producers will come for my neck if I tell other producers to do 89.3, 89.5. I'm just gonna put a disclaimer. I typically like to start with weird decimal BPMs and stuff like that, because the reason why is because I know in terms of music and real soulful as well as, you know, human-esque instrumentation and stuff like that, nothing is ever exactly 89.000000. You always want to try to fit into a pocket, and that's why I try to like mess around with the percentages just a little bit. Not too crazy. I'm not doing 89.1357 pi. I'm not calculating. I'm just doing it just to see what could fit in a nice pocket. I'm gonna find the chords that I like the most and just kind of mess around with them. So I'll be right back. Also, another trick for my FL users is a super helpful thing that I like to do, where if I want to not really drag it out but also start a new phrase, is I'll highlight everything in this mini part right here. I'll do shift and then my mouse button, my left mouse button, and be able to drag the same exact copy of it and just take it wherever I need to go. And the cool thing about this is if I go up and down and stuff like that, it's still going to stay in that same chord structure. So that way I don't do Control C and then fuck up the entire part of it, make it sound bad. So little cool helpful tip that's helped me a lot with my hotkey and workflow, honestly. So put this up here. I'm gonna tamper with it myself to kind of help me come up with different ideas in terms of melody as well. So I'll do this sometimes, give it some weird structure, and then do kind of the opposite over here. So that way it's not the same loop over and over again. So now instead of it just being like a this chord, now it's like a boo-doo. It helps me think of so many different ideas in my head for a drum pattern too as well. So the great thing about starting off with a solid foundation like this is you don't necessarily have to keep the same notes. It's honestly just a skeleton for you to brutally maim and just fuck around with, honestly. So what I'm thinking is, as I'm messing around with these different notes, sounds really cool. Now that I have the majority of this stuff down, another thing that I could also do is mess around with different effects. So maybe doing some RC20 to try to give it some of that really keyboardy-ish sound. So I'm gonna go through here. Woo. Now that we have a bass with specifically just chords and everything, now we can really do anything that we want. Because with soul music specifically, I feel like it always has to start from a good chord progression or a good bass line. Now what I can do is I can add like a bass line, maybe some strings, some vocals and stuff like that, and essentially make like this kind of cool sample until we can add our drums. So let's get started on that real quick, and then let's keep it going. So now essentially what I'm going to do now is pretty much just mess around with the chord progression that I messed around with, and you'll see a lot of my bass notes that I hit within the ghost notes of what I put on. So that's why MIDI honestly is the undefeated king. And I'm gonna put it an octave higher so you can kind of hear it better. Let me just get some strings going here real quick too. I typically either go between omnisphere or expand. I'll either decide between big legato strings or pizzicato or something like that. I don't really know what the name of this. So what I'm also going to do is mess around with some reverb and stuff here too. So the great thing about expand is they have like these smart knobs right here that you can mess around with too. So it's really easy to just go right off of there. Ooh. There we go. Awesome. Cool. Okay. So these are honestly the first level of strings that I want to try. And then now that I have this is why I love MIDI, because I can just switch out the sound and go right to the next idea. And with this, I can get more brick solid with it, essentially. So I'm going to do a little bit with this MIDI and make it more hard timed instead of just, you know. Now let's hear everything all together. You can mess around with the strings like this part here. Another cool thing that they did with FL, the new update and stuff like that, is you can have this Stretch Pro. So I can put the formant all the way up here, take this part here, and just pitch it down. Let's go to about like 3 cents, and let's see if we can find anything with like a 1, 2, 3. We're gonna try to go for like specifically a G minor kind of sound. I'm gonna put a reverb on this for some more patty effect, essentially. I'm also going to mess around with making one of these unique and taking the formant of this and pushing it down, actually. Ooh. That gives it some nice texture. That's what I think is super cool about the Stretch Pro. Now that they're messing around with the formant and stuff like that, it's super nice to get weird textures and everything now. So here's what we have as a sample all together. And now all we have to do is put drums to it. So if you don't mind me, guys, I'm gonna get right to it. Ooh, there we go. Hope you learned something from this tutorial. If you did, make sure to leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you love. I love all kinds of feedback too, and I've been really grinding out my sample game and stuff like that so that way I can get to this point. So I'm gonna play you guys the finished beat, and then we're gonna pretty much let the video end for there. So here's what I got so far for the finished beat. Guys so much for a fantastic 2021. I'm super excited for the new year and to see what comes along, and for 2022 and more growth. It's always about growth over here, and anything that I learn new, I definitely want to make sure I share it with you guys too as much as I can. So I hope you like this tutorial. Make sure to leave a like and comment and subscribe, and I will see you guys later. So peace.